Welcome back to the channel, people. KG is back. We are back with some official news. I think it's probably the worst kept secret in football. Daniel Farke is the new Leeds United manager. No more guesswork. No more wondering who's in charge. No more wondering if Steven Gerrard is going to leave his job in Saudi and come over. No, Daniel Farke is in the building. 4-year contracts. And I mean, listen, Jack here, 4-year contract. Not sure I'm happy. Jack, the determination of the contract is on his performance. And that's the main thing. I think it's one of those where, on one hand, I'm happy because of the last couple of years of just absolute uncertainty we've had. We've had like 4 to 5 managers. So the length of the contract is promising, but he's going to have to earn that, isn't he? And if it's not going well, like really, really badly, if it goes badly, contracts are just pieces of paper to these owners. They'll put him on gardening leave, they'll pay it off, get another manager in on probably another 4 years. So I wouldn't concern yourself with the length of the contract. What I would say is it just shows that the 49ers enterprises are looking for a little bit of stability. And I'm with that. It's been horrible, honestly, doing streams over the last year and talking about a new manager here, new manager there. It's not been good. The only time that I really wanted it, as you guys know, I've never done it before, but it wasn't until Javi Gracia and I said, I need this guy gone. It wasn't until then. And I said, I'm happy to do another manager video because we needed it. We was going, I mean, we got relegated anyway, but we'd have got relegated faster under that guy. We were just clueless. So yeah, 4-year contract. I mean, leave your thoughts in the comments, obviously. But yeah, I'm all right with it. I mean, whoever they were going to bring in, I think it was going to be a long-term appointment. I think that's the best way to look at it. But is he going to last the 4 years? We'll see. Yeah, Carl. I don't even remember how long Jesse's contract was, Carl. If anyone can remind me, but they always get long contracts. If it's not 18 months, it's 4 years, but it means nothing. I mean, if we lose the first 20 games of the season, he'll probably get sacked. You know what I mean? But you know what? I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, Lewis, 100%. Let's back the gaffer. Look. You know what it is, Lewis? I was thinking of this earlier. Out of the 3 relegated teams, I mean, I'm not doing a measuring contest here, but we've got the best manager out of the 3. If you like the most proven one, when you compare it to Southampton with Russell Martin, when you compare it to Leicester with Enzo Maresca, we've got the best one out of the 3. Now, as he said, and we'll bring up his quotes in a moment. I know he's had a full video on LU TV, but he's already talked about incomings, outgoings. So he knows there's a lot of work to do. And I hope that, I think Carl Darlow and all these other guys being mentioned, he would have had a word. Hopefully he wasn't involved in the Nat Phillips discussion. You know what I mean? Hopefully he wasn't involved in that. And he says, no, thank you. No, I don't want Nat Phillips. Oh, Darren Farley's going to be back in business, isn't he, people? Darren Farley is going to be back in business on the Daniel Farke videos. Unbelievable. And listen, shout out to John Abbott for the super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated, John. Big support of the channel, always supporting. And shout out to Nate, who's become a member of the channel. Memberships are in the description. Help me out, help out the channel. Thank you so much for the ongoing support. Really and truly means a lot. Yeah, and so the big jigsaw coming together at last, first corner piece. It does. That's what it feels like. Even though we've known that in the background, this is being ready to be announced for a while. Now that it's officially done, now we can start looking at other things. Now we can start to delve into players links and all that stuff, because we couldn't do it before. You just couldn't. It would have been ridiculous talking about incomings more than outgoings. You can't say, oh yeah, we're going to sign this player without no manager in place. No manager, no player worth their salt is signing for a club with no manager in place. They just don't do it. None of the players that I know have done it anyway. So it's good that he's here. I'm sure he'll have an idea of the kind of players that he wants to bring in and the kind of players that he wants to move out. And that's the most important thing. Yeah, Nige, yeah, he is. Michael from the Square Ball's going to be busy. Yeah, he's going to be busy with this. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's going to be busy too. Yeah, he's going to be bringing a lot of people some content. I mean, come on, Gerbil Boy saying worst impression I've heard so far. But look, I don't do Daniel Farke impressions. That's not me. I leave it to Darren Farley and Michael from Square Ball. Carl saying, why does Hammond only do short-term jobs if he's so good? I have no idea. You'd have to ask him. Leeds saying Farke needs to move swiftly in the transfer market for incomings and outgoings. Yeah, 100%. And let's bring up the official article from the club website. It's nice to see it all in black and white, isn't it, people? It really is. Let me not share any audio just in case there's a pop up. But yeah, here we go. So yeah, new manager confirmed. Lovely. I'm not going to read all of it because obviously, it's there for you guys to read. But yeah, the 46-year-old German succeeds Sam Allardyce. What a crazy sentence. Who left the Whites at the end of last season. It then goes on about his achievements in getting promoted with Norwich City. Talks about that job he had out in Russia, but left because of the war. So that's fair enough. And also that he took charge of Borussia Mönchengladbach and led them to a 10th place finish in Bundesliga before departing at the end of the campaign. And this is Daniel Farke, some quotes. I'd like to thank everyone for the really warm welcome. I'm really grateful at this moment to work for this amazing club. I feel humble at this time. I know the responsibility to fulfill all the expectations, and I want to repay the trust shown. The most important thing is to create a togetherness and unity within this club again. And from today onwards, I will work on it with my staff and players, and I trust our supporters will be there when we need them. I can't wait for the first game of the season. Yeah, and obviously Parag of the 49er Enterprise is just saying here, after a thorough recruitment process, we are excited to confirm Daniel's appointment as our first team manager. His record in the championship is clear, and I'm impressed by his leadership and plan to guide us back to the Premier League. That's what I want to hear. But me, I need to see some actions now, please. I've had loads of words over the last couple of years. I've heard Europe in 3 years. Let's get it done. But yeah, this is all in the right direction, people. And just lastly, we welcome Daniel and his staff to the club and look forward to a strong season. And it says there he'll be bringing in his own staff. And like I say, hopefully as well, people, there's a goalkeeper coach in there. We need a goalkeeper coach. Very, very important. Mike Adams here saying, let's hope it is for 4 years and not 4 weeks or 4 months. Listen, Mike, if he's here for 4 years, it means he's done his job properly. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I'm all for people proving me wrong. I do still maintain that if we do get up this season, he needs to be more ruthless when we lose games in the Premier League. I didn't like how he was so accepting of defeat when he was at Norwich, like it was just part of the course. That doesn't do it for me. Hopefully, he's done other jobs since Norwich. Hopefully, he's got more of a grit installed in him since those Norwich days, where he went on and currently holds the longest ever losing streak in the Premier League. He's got that on his CV. So I'm hoping that he gets rid of that. But let's focus on the task at hand first, which is promotion. And like I said, out of the 3 clubs that have been relegated, we've got the best coach. If he went to Leicester or Southampton, I'd be thinking, wow, they're showing some intent there. So for me, this is a good show of intent by the 49ers. Really is. Yeah, famously, yeah, Europe 3 years. Wow, yeah, up there with relegation is impossible. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. For me, I love what I've read there. I do, but I think it's for me now. It's a time where Leeds United has to show me as a club. I need to see the actions on the pitch. We've heard so much noise over the past couple of years, and we've been crap. We have been absolutely turgid on the football pitch. So for me, it's about getting this all together, getting players in, getting players out, which is seriously important too. And then let's go, let's kill this league. Let's do a Burnley. Let's march this league. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But it's going to be a bit tougher than that for us. I do think. I do think it's going to be tougher than that. Um, Bob's saying Darren Huckabee said he has one way of playing. Bob's, I've always said with managers, even if they've only got one way of playing, as long as it's successful, that's good. It is. Bielsa had one way of playing, didn't he? And it worked for as long as it worked. Jurgen Klopp still tries that heavy metal football at Liverpool, even with his midfielders breaking down on the pitch. Some managers do have one way of playing. And look, as long as it's a successful way, I'm all for it. Ben here saying, hopefully we'll build from the back in the transfer market 100%, Ben. That's why I'm delighted to see them linked with a Carl Darlow. And if it isn't Carl Darlow to come in, hopefully it's another goalkeeper because we need it's so important. I mean, the fact that, I don't want to go on about it again, but the fact that we ran it back with a defense that conceded 700 goals in the previous season and the goalkeeper is insane to me. But listen, this is a new regime. This is a new era. Let's see what they're going to build. We're going to find out soon, aren't we? Um, Yeah, Dave. Yeah, it would be David. If it would be great if we could do a Burnley, it would be magnificent. But yeah, Nate, I hear you. One way playing is good in the short term if executed the right way, but long term, yeah. But that was the problem with Marcelo Bielsa, Nate. And I always refer back to that stream where I just realized it was near the end of January before, near the end of his tenure. And it was like, he's not going to change his way, is he? He's just not going to do it. No matter how many injuries we've got, no matter who the opposition is, we're going to go into every game trying to play the same way. He's not going to bend. And that's the risk you run with coaches like that. But we'll see what he's got. We'll see what he's got, man. Um, but yeah, and listen, let me move on to the next one, which is oh, let me share this one instead. Yeah, here we go. There he is there with the club scarf there. Well, one of the scarves. It's probably sponsorless and everything, yeah. But just a few more quotes from here. I've already read a couple in the other one, but here he says, once you choose to become a manager, there is a lot to do, many new names to learn, but it is always the same when you overtake a new club. Very busy. I'm looking forward to it, and I've had a very warm welcome with lots of supportive faces. I can't wait for the football to start. And he said here, let's be honest, after a season of after a disappointing outcome, it's always difficult. You have to make many decisions in terms of staff and players. You have to be smart. I like to hear that. Let me see it too. It is important. You work a lot in pre-season on the fitness of the players, and I also have to bring in my ideas about football and my vision into the heads and hearts of the players. And that's another thing for me, people. I think I think it was very noticeable in the last few months of the season. Those players were not fit. They were blowing. Some of them were blowing after 60 minutes, man. And I mean, Mark Rucker all season long could barely complete 90 minutes. It was a sham. It was an absolute sham. So yeah, that is good to hear. And this guy is a very detailed manager. You can tell. You can tell he's got that in him. He's one of those, just a typical German coach where they look into every detail. And he's clear that was an issue for us last season. One of many. One of many. There is lots of work. There is lots to do in the next 4.5 weeks, but we don't complain. We are fully convinced of what we have to do and where we want to go. We know when we have a big togetherness and unity at the club, then we have a chance to get better and better from week to week. This is what we're aiming to do. We have a clear vision, so from now on we can work on it. Yeah. Um, so yeah, let me see. Is there anything else? Yeah, this is just stuff about Leeds being a big club and all that stuff. Yeah, all that good stuff. But this is something here, and this is from LUFC Data. Shout out to my guy here, man. Always bring the good stuff on Twitter. But this is something that excites me, and I just want to draw you guys to the Gave senior debuts to 11 academy players at Norwich City. For me, that is going to be the most important thing. I just see Daniel Farke and the way that he likes his teams to operate, which is very fluid, which is very smooth, like to play with the ball. He's not going to fancy quite a few of these players. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know. Yeah, John, I can definitely see that being chanted at Ellen Road. Definitely on Thou. Um Tim saying buzzing, we've got the Bavarian bearing. Tremendous. But yeah, that this bit here, the gave senior debuts to 11 academy players. I like the sound of that because we are going to rely on some of these players. And just going back to the training videos, sorry, training pictures, I should say. Nice to see this here with Archie Gray and, of course, Darko JB. These are the kind of players that we need to see bedded in, as well as some very good experienced players coming into the team to replace the bad experience that we've currently got. SJ44 Rucker would be class playing walking football. Listen, it's not his league. It really isn't his league. This isn't his speed over here, and he's very close to moving back to Betis, isn't he? He's taking reduced money to go there as well. Shows you how desperate he is to get back to the top league, which is fair enough. But yeah, the best game that Rucker had for us was against Forest, and that's because Forest just let him have the roam of the midfield. Other than that, it was very up and down for Mark Rucker. But yeah, Lee's saying buzzing if he plays our youth players. They're more passionate and better skilled than the adult all guards. Yeah, 100%. It's not even close either, Lee's. It's not even close. It really isn't. But we'll see who he moves out. I think it's going to be very interesting because for me, there's still some players that we haven't really heard being linked with moves away because they're not that good. But it's going to be interesting to see if he wants to use them, because I don't know. I just don't see him using players like Patrick Bamford. I don't. I don't see him using Bamford. I can possibly see him use Luke Ayling if Cody Drama is to leave. But I don't see him using guys like that. Liam Cooper, I don't see him using him either, unless it's like a Tuesday game and we've played 2 in the previous week or something. I just don't see it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what he's about, won't we? Nate here saying we were calling for JB mid-season last season. Sorry, we were calling for JB mid-season last season, just like we were calling for Gelhardt 2 seasons ago. Yeah, and it's context, isn't it, Nate? Because we're talking about when midfields are just so poor. Why not just put them in? Gelhardt, Bamford's not fit. He's not scoring. Why not just play more Gelhardt or play Gelhardt with Bamford? Because that worked pretty well. For me, Gelhardt needs a partner up top. And I can see that possibly happening this season as well. You know, Gelhardt's looking very, as I said in yesterday's stream, looking very trim, looking sharp. He's looking on it. It looks like he wants it this season. I think he knows that he's got to do something this season because his stock has fallen a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm not giving up on Joe Gelhardt, but I'm saying his stock has fallen because the low move to Sunderland didn't bang the way it should have. But yeah, 100% we should have seen more JB. It wouldn't have done any harm, would it? Him or Rucker in there would have made no difference. But yeah. Chris Fox, he bans horizontal passes, not good for some of our midfielders. We'll see. We'll see who he plays. I'm optimistic with this one. I'm optimistic. I don't know how we're going to fare in the league yet. I just don't know as of yet. I need to see the squad makeup before I get a better picture. But it's nice to have him in the door officially. You know. Yeah, Mark Rankin, Joff you know what? He would work better as a 10 behind the striker for me. He does. Because if you remember Gelhardt when he played for us, he was like a battering ram. He used to just run through people and shoot on sight. He loved the shot on sight. He didn't care who was in the way. He's gonna get his shot off. And I think he works well as a 10. For me, he always worked better in a 2. And we didn't deploy that enough. We just didn't. And Renee here saying, good news finally. Let's hope the news comes fast and furious now. Yeah. Hey, listen, tomorrow, I think we'll be on tomorrow doing a signing video. Yeah, I'm going to say that now. Watch now. We don't sign nobody tomorrow. Everyone's in the comments tomorrow. You said we're going to have a signing. Yeah, that's on me. That's on me. But yeah, I do expect things to be in motion now. Like I said, I believe that prospective signings have been spoken to. And on the appointment of Daniel Farke, they will now be coming in. I do believe that. I just don't believe they haven't been talking to anybody. I just don't believe that. But yeah, let's have a look. Dash here saying Rutter should play after striker, in my opinion. Yep, he isn't an actual number 9, but he can score goals. Dash 100%. He's not a striker, but he's an effective forward. And this is the thing that it's again underutilizing what we had last season. I mean, the last game of the season tells you everything when we left Somerville Nanto on the bench in a game that we needed to win. Told you everything. But when Rutter did come on in a few occasions, especially that one against Spurs, he was breaking up play from the midfield and pushing on. He was creating plays from his own press. Like that's what he can do. He's one of those players where he's got so much agility and ability that he needs more space to work with rather than just put him up top. And I do see that happening. Look, listen, Rutter was featured heavily in those videos yesterday, so maybe he's going to stay. And for me, that's a good thing. My expat life is saying Farke doesn't look the sentimental type. If you're not performing, he won't play you. We'll see. You know what it is, my expat life. I'll always say we'll see on that because we've had managers like this before where they weren't sentimental, but they bowed to the Leeds United fans. You only have to read Neil Warnock's book, and he'll tell you. And this is Neil Warnock, who didn't take crap from anyone, still doesn't to this day. But he came to Leeds United and he felt the pressure of the fan base. He didn't want to play Ross McCormack at some points during his tenure as manager, but he felt the pressure. He says, if I don't play him, these guys will just be moaning at me. So even he, Neil Warnock of all people, bowed to the Leeds United fans. We'll see. This is what I'm saying. And this is what I meant about Daniel Farke doing so well at Norwich and this being a different kettle of fish. It is. It's a different kettle of fish at Leeds United. And I think he'll be prepared for it. I hope he's prepared for it and that he realizes this is a huge, huge job. Yeah, I mean, yeah, IB here, IB Toure saying Bielsa Marsh let these players sack them. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help when the club don't do the moves to sell them either. You know, the club could overrule the managers and say, no, listen, these guys aren't performing. It's time for them to go. It was just a whole mess. It's culminated in us being back in the championship, hasn't it? Um, I mean, Mr. Tom, yeah, it's borderline criminal that in July we haven't seen enough of a player we signed for 35 million in January. You know what? While we're on that, that's a nice little link because I just want to go on to this quickly because I don't want to spend too long on outgoings today. Um, but this here, because this is kind of what we're talking about here with Mr. Tom. You know, Dimasio reporting that the agreement for Llorente to Roma is done, loan with a 5 million euro obligation to buy in case he plays 50% of the matches. We know Llorente's injury history, don't we? He's not reaching 50%, whether it's through form, whether it's through injuries. We're not seeing that 5 million, but it just goes to show with this whole signing a player to keep their value. I'm just wondering if anyone's got any examples because I can't think of any of when that has actually worked. When has that actually worked where you've signed a player to an extended deal in hope to sell them on? Because I tell you who's done it, who comes to mind now is Phil Jones at Man United. That certainly didn't work. He's been there for how long and he's played how many games? They kept him on a 5-year contracts each time. Rob Holding at Arsenal to preserve his value. Has that worked? I just don't know. But yeah, 5 million. And yeah, some people here saying Deshaun 5 million. What people have to understand, and I know this is gonna we overpaid for some of these players. We overpaid for some of these players. I don't know if Llorente was ever worth what was it 14, 17 million. I don't think so. So we were always going to make losses on these kind of players. We always were. So yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Neil Gunner, that's a good one. Okay, I'll give you that one. Brighton saying with Caicedo. Yeah. Well, I don't know, Neil, because he's going to be going for the same amount anyway, isn't he? I think Brighton said 70 million in January, and I think it's pretty much going to be 70 million again. I think they just gave him a new contract because he was, poorly paid in comparison to the rest of the team. But yeah, that's a decent shout. Decent shout, I guess. Um, Gale, sorry, saying Nketiah a little bit like that. Yeah, Nketiah, he's got a contract now, and now Balogun is at the club, and Balogun has said, "Listen, I've tucked away 20 times in League One. I need to play football." And now you've got a problem there where Nketiah is on 100 bags a week. For what? For what? For little moments he had. Certainly not worth 100. And how do you get rid of that? But yeah, I mean, just back to us. Yeah, we did, Dave. David, sorry, we overpaid for so many of these players, and that's why some of the values of what we're going to be getting back, whether it's loans or low fees, like this 5 million if he plays 50%, it's going to be much lower than what we've paid out. I'm afraid. It's completely different. If you take Leicester, for instance, James Madison, what have they sold him for? 40 million? They've probably got less than what they should have got for a player like James Madison. But because Leicester wouldn't have had relegation release clauses in their contracts, they had to get the best deal possible. Whereas we've got players that have got loan loan clauses in their contracts, something I've never heard of before I read it about our club players going out on loan because of relegation. Never heard of it. I've only ever heard of permanent transfers, never loans. Um, Terry saying, I take Nketiah. Uh, I mean, that's an expensive one to do in the championship now, isn't it, Terry? It's not like a few years ago when he was not on 100K a week. Desha- Deshaun. Dan James, 25 million add-ons didn't even take us out for dinner first. That is tremendous. Oh man, Deshaun, I love that. That is tremendous. On that one, we got done over with the rivalry tax. We really got hammered with the rivalry tax on that. I maintain if Dan James was going to Leicester City at that time when they got Ronaldo, they would have probably paid 15 million tops for him. But because it's Leeds United, Man United, they added extra on there. Yeah, we definitely got overcharged for that one. Chris is saying I'd take Balogun. I absolutely would, Chris too. But I think he's now looking at top flight football, and you can't blame him. The guy he did so well in League One last season, and not only that, now he's a fully fledged American international. He's looking to go like this. I don't think he's looking for a championship loan, but I would absolutely take Balogun. He's a hitter, and that's going back to Farke, which is the stream's about. That's what I think he'll be looking for. I think he'll like the look of Mateo Joseph. And I think he'll like the look of Sonny Perkins if he's to stay, Gelhart. But I think he'll want another Pookie type of player where he knows he's got someone bagging the goals. I don't think he. That's why I'm saying I don't think he'll be interested in Patrick Bamford. I really don't. I really hope as well. Um, Mike Adams is saying Leedsy is a word I first heard by you, but it's very true, isn't it? We always do things the Leedsy way. Mike, I think the term Leedsy's been around for years, probably since we nearly went out of business under Ridsdale. But it's definitely a true thing, just like it is with Spurs being Spursy. It is we always seem to do things the hard way or backwards. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen to other clubs. It's usually Leeds United. Um, Nate here though is saying Rutter will play number 9. Mark my words. Hold it plays very underrated. No, I think his hold it plays decent, Nate. I do rate it. I just think that he's more of a link man, but not in like a big old target man, link man kind of way. I think he's that guy that occupies defenses so your main striker can go through and tuck it. But you gotta have a main striker to tuck it. You know what I mean? And we haven't had that. We just don't. Um Evie here saying those loan clauses, in my opinion, is one of the many reasons that those players didn't give their all at the end of the season. Why bother when you have an easy way out? Uh, I think it's a mix of everything, Evie. I think it's a mix of ability. I think it's a mix of bad environment that they're in because that changing room was clearly not a happy one. But I always go back to Rafinha, man. Rafinha could have let us get relegated, but he carried this team and the club on his back. He made it harder for himself to go to Barca. If he had just let us get relegated, he'd gone for easy money, but they had to negotiate a fee in the end. But it obviously not every player is like a Rafinha. He's a different kind of breed. But yeah, there could have been some players checking out. I don't doubt that as well, Evie. I think there's certain players that did check out. I was disappointed with Gordon Strachan's column. I usually like Gordon. I've met Gordon before as well. Really nice guy, man. What a legend as well. Played before I got to see him play for Leeds United, but you know, you can recognize your legends. But he was talking about a lot of the players that basically down tools or didn't work hard enough over the last 18 months, and now they're looking for loan escapes. And where that is true sometimes, I just see that there's just no accountability for the other players that have been letting us down week in, week out as well. I'm sure he wasn't including people like Ailing in there. I'm sure he wasn't including other players that weren't doing their jobs. No Patrick Bamford, who cost us points on his own. You know, I just feel like it's just easy to keep on picking at these newer players. But at the end of the day, the reality is telling you that these newer players have got clubs after them. The other players don't have clubs after them, or if they did have clubs after them, they can't get them because their contracts are too rich. You know, Cheltenham can't afford Luke Ayling. You know, Bristol Rovers can't afford Liam Cooper. So that's the difference, I think. Yeah, I miss Raf as well, man. I know, but we gotta move on. We gotta move on. I mean, listen, I didn't mean to make everyone sentimental about Raf. I know it's horrible. I know. You guys follow him on Instagram. He's getting on with life, man. Leeds is a Leeds is a distant memory to that guy. Mr. Tom here. Rafidi is a winner. He wanted to win on the day. That's nature. That's his nature. Yeah, 100%. And he's won the La Liga this season with Barca, and he's still staying. Even though clubs still try and link their name to him, he's staying at Barca, man. I knew he'd go to the top. I had no doubts about him. No doubts. Um, let's have a look. Nate here saying, if I see Cooper, Ayling, and Bamford starting on the team sheet in the first friendly, I'll cry. I wouldn't take too much notice of that, Nate. It's because that friendly's in about 11 days. Unless we're signing a slew of players before then, I would expect some of those guys to be on the team sheet. For me, it's more important once we get into the nitty gritty of the season. I, yeah, I just can't stomach some of these guys being here. I just can't. So for me, it's important that we get a good mix of our youngsters, our quality youngsters in there, and the new experienced players that will be brought in by Daniel Farke. I'm excited for that. I really am. Because I'm right now at this point when we talk about playing squad, because it feels like a few of those are going to go, like your Somervilles, like Nanto. If they could stay, I mean, that would be magnificent, wouldn't it? But with those kind of guys going, I kind of dread it. But now Farker's here, he would not have come here without the 49ers agreeing to some of his transfers. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see that happening. So we'll definitely get some incomings. Um, Mr. Tom, I respect Rodrigo's effort, but I'll never understand why he didn't want the ball against Newcastle. Now, Mr. Tom, I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go on the basis for me, and I still believe it in my heart that that was a vanity thing. I think it was a vanity thing by Luke Ayling and Patrick Bamford to make Bamford get a goal. Because if you remember, in that week he was getting stick from everyone, fans, Alan Shearer. There was so much stick being given to Patrick Bamford. I think it may have been the week where he was getting death threats, okay, to go on top of it, which we don't condone. But I think it was a case of we're 1-0 up, Pat, go and get your confidence up, get your goal, do your shushing motion, whatever it is, no problem. And I genuinely believe it was that. And that for me, again, is the problem with the current leadership. It's no good because we should have gone 2-0 up in that game. Should have. But there we are. Um, yeah, and even Robin Koch. Listen, Robin Koch thinks he's Baresi, but Robin Koch in quotes has been saying that he wants to be a leader at his next club, and it just shows you that there's a ceiling with certain players still here, just blocking the way. That can't be helpful. Can't be helpful. Let me see. Shout out to a couple new members, Pat Dunn, who's become a member. Thank you so much, Pat, and Ryan Dudley, who's become a member of the channel. Thank you so much for the support. Radiby leads with a super chat. Super relieved. We can start to look forwards now. Joking, but anyone up for Pukiana free? He's at Minnesota. Radiby leads. I don't know if you missed that one, but yeah, he's at Minnesota United. He's in the MLS. Hisham with a super chat. Thank you, Hisham. Sliced bread Ed in the house. Your talent ID is insane. Had a look at Enzo Lefebvre. Looks decent. Yeah. Oh, don't remind me, Ed. Yeah, I did that video in vain now, didn't I? But yeah, so when I'm talking about a player that could go to the top, that is him. He's so good. He does it all. He does the pressing from the front. He can take set pieces. He's good for a goal. Crazy assist rate if you've got a good striker in front of him. I think he's going. I think he's going Rennes, isn't he? I think he's actually moving to Rennes. I think he's staying in France, but yes, such a talented player, man. Such a talented player. Yeah, Nige D. Leadership council should be dissolved by Farker 100%. Just stop it. It's not done us any good. Literally, the leadership council has led us into the championship. That's how it's been. If they led us into Europe, they'd be getting all the praise saying they can't be that bad. They've led us into Europe. Well, yeah, they've led us into the championship. It's as simple as that. Radiby Leeds is gutted. He didn't know. Yeah, he's at Minnesota United. Radiby Leeds. Sorry, man. Sorry. Let's have a look. Yeah, Gordon saying evening KG. Looking forward to some major changes. Yeah, me too. 100%. That's got to happen for me. Deshaun saying KG knows. Yeah, sometimes, man. Sometimes, not all the time. Not all the time, man. Nate saying here, saying very optimistic, but nice guy manager, not really what we need. Yeah, I mean, listen, Nate. What I will say is, I hope that what that persona that he's got in front of the camera is exactly that. I hope it's just one of those where he's mild mannered and softly spoken in front of the camera, but when it's behind closed doors, he lays into him. Because, yeah, we've seen these players already get how many managers sacked. He's not the toughest of them all either. They even converted Jesse Marsh from being someone that wasn't a manager into caring about the goddamn players. Sorry, goddamn, didn't mean to say that. My apologies. But just frustrated. Managers seem to just fold when they come to Leeds United. I don't know what it is, people. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. But listen, let's just hope that's his front facing persona. Behind closed doors, he gets into him. Mark Wilson's not convinced, I don't think. 4-year contract, and he's got a worse record in the Prem than Marsh. Yeah, that listen, that longest loss streak is gonna hurt your percentages either way, isn't it? So, but look, we've got to focus on the task at hand, which is promotion. And like I said at the start of the video, he's definitely the best one out of the three teams that have come down. He's definitely the best coach out of the three. Just hopefully we can capitalize on that, and he capitalizes on it too. Yeah, and I'm with you, Gary. I think he could do it for us in the EFL, but the jury's still out on whether he could cut in the Prem. I'm 100% with you, Gary. I'm not convinced by him in the Premier League. But listen, we keep hearing that he didn't get enough money at Norwich and everything else like that. Cool. Let's see if we get up. Let's see what he can do. But you've seen the rope that our managers have had in the Prem. You don't get long. They know what's at stake. And I'm sure the 49ers weren't expecting to be owning a championship club. I don't think that was on their plan at all. They've got it now. They don't want to do it again. And I think that they'll learn from the previous regime's mistakes. I genuinely do. I think that these guys are very smart. And look, listen, this is their first appointment. It's not a bad one, is it? It's not bad considering we're in the championship. But yeah, let's have a look. What else have I got? Yeah, Steven saying if he keeps his points average, we will go up. Yeah, I mean, like I say, though, difference with Norwich and Leeds, but yeah, that's what we got to hope for, 100%. Have I got anything else? No, done that. Oh yeah. Just quickly on another departure. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but just via Fabrizio Romano yesterday and a couple of other outlets, The Athletic included. Union Berlin set to sign Brendan Aronson. Agreement at final stage with Leeds. Deal to be complete on loan until the end of the season. So there's no obligation to buy, no option to buy there. It's going to be a straight loan. So I don't know if we're going to get a loan fee for that. That's another thing that we need to consider as well. Sometimes you do get loan fees on these deals. So hopefully we've managed to get a couple of those with a lot of these loan outgoings. But yeah, Brendan Aronson's leaving the championship and going to head for the Champions League. Lucky for some, isn't it? Lucky for some. Let's have a look. Tim, who was Chilino's first appointment again? Please remind me. It wasn't Hockaday, was it? We had so many managers under Chilino. I've forgotten. Just remind me. Was it Milanic? I can't remember who it was. Can't remember. Steeler saying looking forward to the reset. Yeah, this is it now. You know, I would have preferred, and I'll maintain, I'll stand by. I wish we could have reset in the Premier League like we should have 2 years ago, but we haven't. We're gonna have to do it now. This is so important, so important. I mentioned yesterday with the Cardalo thing. We are in the race with Bournemouth because we have parachute payments. Middlesbrough can't do it because they don't have those kind of payments. So it's important that we get up on the first attempt. We have to. We have to get up on the first attempt. For me, it's vitally important. We can't do this again. You've seen what it's like at Leeds as well. Once we get in a funk, players use it as an excuse and they down tools a bit. We've had it through history. Yeah, we need to go up this season. So hopefully Farker's got the recipe. Like he said, hopefully he gets the players that he wants in. We need technicians in. We need defenders that can defend. We need goalkeepers that can save shots. I'm asking for the basics here, people. We haven't had the basics for over 2 years. It's been an absolute horror show supporting this football club. It's been an absolute disaster, honestly. Oh, Nate. Keep Melier and revive his career. For me, nah. And I think you know what, Nate? I think the silence is pretty loud with the lack of teams being linked with Melier now. Really is. I think it tells you a story. This guy he could have been gone in January. There was suitors for him, there was clubs after him, and he had an absolute visible stinker of a second half that clubs aren't going to touch him at this point. But we'll see. Even if Melier is here, I expect the new goalkeeper to be our number one. Ryan here saying going to be a slow start to the season for sure. Well, listen, what I'll say on that. Hold on, let me just have a sip. Hey, we need new ones of these people. Remember these Champions Cups for the champions. Need a new one. There's 46 games in the championship. For me, it won't move me if we won the first five because you know what happens in the championship. You've seen what happens. All it takes is a couple of losses and you slide down the table. So, you know, the championship is a marathon, not a sprint. If we could do it in the way that Burnley did it, I'd much appreciate it. But it's very unlikely being Leeds. Very, very unlikely. Once again, I mentioned this a few times, but Burnley weren't everyone's cup final last season. They weren't. They're Burnley. Yeah, we are people's cup finals. We are. So we always have to put in that extra 10% in games to get over the rev that all these other little clubs have when they come and play Leeds United. We have to. So if for me, as long as we get a consistent run of results, don't fall into a funk. Don't fall into things where players are losing their confidence. Sick of players losing their confidence at this football club. We should be okay. Should be. Let's have a look. Jed in the house saying, wouldn't mind seeing a Pablo S player arriving myself. Yeah, more. Yeah, man, that would have been Enzo. Enzo. But yes, you're right. Yeah, I know they're trying to make the number 10s extinct these days, which is, I mean, it just shows you again how where football's going in systems and everything else, and players not having their own minds to create something themselves. But you're right, 100%. Um, yeah, we need some players like that. We need players with guile. We need players that can create. We need midfielders, people. I know this is a real ass. Midfielders that can score goals. When was the last time? Mark Rocker didn't do it. Got one, didn't he? McKennie didn't do it. We didn't see his one time. Uh, pause. But we didn't get goals from midfield. Tyler Adams doesn't score goals. Brendan Aronson, what did he get? The 1, 2? I can't remember. We need some midfielders that can create, take set pieces. We need the whole lot because we've been without this for 2, 3 years now. So poor. But yeah, exactly, Isaac. KG Farke likes to play with a proper number 10. He does. He does. Whether that's Buendia, O'Neill Hernandez. I know he's a bit on the wing, but yeah, he likes to play with those attacking players, and that's exciting for me. Lewis, don't make me time you out. Don't make me put you on timeout. I'll put you on the naughty step, Lewis. I will. Don't make me do it. Um, Mr. Tom saying, I'll settle for 4 defenders that don't walk back after losing possession. Mr. Tom, I take some defenders that don't let players like Lucas Moore walk around them like they're not there. Absolutely disgraceful. And the week before, they let Paqueta do it. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Listen, I'm starting to get wound up by these guys. Don't make me go there, people. But yeah, you're right. Just some defenders that can defend, please. Just begging for it. Begging. Um, Slice Bread Ed, who's a Man United fan, just for clarification for people, will loan you Ahmad. I think he's got his heart set on Sunderland, hasn't he? I think it's either Sunderland or he wants to move to the Prem. So I don't think we're going to be involved in that. But I 100% take Ahmad Diallo. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what you're talking about there. Long range shots out of nowhere. That's what we need. We need stuff like that. But I don't see it happening. Bonderific, I think that is. KG, you think Sinistera could be our 10? He definitely could. We got to see. This is the problem for me. I don't know who's going to be here. Nobody knows. We're hearing links of him being moved away, but and I know he's been putting his workout on Instagram, showing everyone how fit he is and everything else like that. Please stop doing that, Cinny. But that's what's going to happen, isn't it? Putting yourself in the shop window to show that you're ready to go. But if he's here, whether he's off the left, whether he's playing inside as an off left 10 or something like that, he'd absolutely murder this league. I'm sorry, he would. He'd have fun in this league. He was doing it in the Prem. The problem is because his appearances were so limited and so sporadic that people forget just how good he was in those moments in the Prem. If we had him for a season, this is another one of those. If you can combine everything that went wrong, if he was playing, I think we'd have been okay. I really genuinely do. He was that good. But we'll see if we're going to keep him in the championship. I would love to. Oh no. Let's have a look. Richard saying, KG, do we need a Boya or Batty type of player that can get out of the championship? Yeah, you still need those kind of greasy players. You do need those people that like to get stuck in. I mean, Tyler Adams would be that, but it's very unlikely that he'll be here. But yeah, 100% we need one of those. We need those kind of players. I know people accuse me of always looking for the skill flair players and think I'm going to play 11 like wingers in the team, but No, you do need people that can win the ball back and lay it off to the better players. That has to happen. But in all fairness, Richard Wood, David Batty was that kind of player, but he was better than that. I think his passing was very underrated. And Lee Bowyer was a goal machine, goal assist. He did it all. You're not going to get those kind of players now. They don't exist. It's all system now. If I can't move out of this place on the pitch, I don't know what I'm doing. All these players, man, funny guys. But yeah, we do. You need battlers. You need people that will tackle in there, get stuck in. So I'm sure Daniel Farke will have that covered as well, 100%. Um, Lewis Cage, you sent your CV for the Palace job. They're keeping Roy, and isn't the joke on us? Eh? Isn't the joke on us? You got me laughing at that, wheeling Roy away from the sunny window. Now look, Roy Hodgson's managing the Premier League for the second year in a row. Jokes on us, eh? That's why you always got to be careful what you laugh at, man. Karma just came back around, spun the block, and bit us on the backside. But yeah, um, let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, I think that is everything to do with it. I think that is everything I've got. Llorente, yeah, talks about him. I'm just going across my tabs behind the scenes here. Yeah, I've got everything. Yeah. So yeah, listen, people, that is it. Daniel Farke is in 4-year contract. Now it's time to see the incomings and outgoings of this team, and that excites me. It excites me a lot, and I hope you're excited about that too. Because I can't wait to get some new players in. Get some new players at Leeds United, man. Please, please, please. Anto, don't say that name again, please. But yeah, listen, people, please hit a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. It's the best way to support. Drop your comments below and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one, people. Enjoy your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are around the world. Peace out.